David Kramer travels around the world to find unique colors in rare minerals.
We can do a little test.
Does this stone have the right golden shimmer? Colors are good for the soul and can enrich our lives. But they can also contain toxic substances that can enter the skin through our clothing. New sources are needed.
This is a crucial moment. This is very exciting.
Colourful and without toxins. Really?
This picture is heavily aged, but has also often been restored. Where do you see any ochre tones that I could use?
These paints are based on centuries-old recipes, and when art conservators and artists need a specific shade, they come here to David Kramer. He's made a name for himself as something of a magician when it comes to vibrant paint colours. He seems able to find just the right mix of shades when no one else can.
Landscapes like this and the mountain really lean towards ochre. Or sections like this one on the hand here, with transparent earth tones.
Kramer runs one of Germany's last historical paint mills in Eichstätten in the Allgäu region. He's the second generation in his family operating the mill. He produces pigments from stones and minerals. Tiny, colourful particles are crushed into a fine powder.
This is azurite. This actually comes from Arizona. Azurite is a classic pigment. The ancient Greeks used it for painting, and it's still a standard colour in our catalogue.
Kramer is both an innovator and a preservationist. He has more than 1,500 shades on offer.
After nearly 50 years, we're still on the hunt for new minerals, new pigments. And nature is so diverse that we do still find new colours.
It's a bit like gold, but blue. 100 grams of this azurite powder costs nearly €400. Kramer sources his materials from all over the world. The mill employs 40 people, and everything is done by hand. After coarse grinding comes fine sifting. The pigments are then finally ready. The pigments have to be mixed with a special binder to be used as paint. Tree resin works well for watercolours. Linseed and walnut oil are used for oil paints.
When applied to a canvas, natural pigments reflect light more chaotically than the uniform particles found in industrial paints. And that is actually the main difference.
The family-run business based in southern Germany supplies the world's largest and most important museums, the Louvre in Paris and the Museum of Modern Art in New York. That's because in order to properly restore paintings, specialists usually need paints with natural pigments.
We have recently recreated approximately 250 to 300 historical pigments. And we're not done yet.
Contemporary artists are also constantly on the hunt for very special colours. Artists like David Benferrado, he's also one of Kramer's employees and helps other artists. His own large-scale works cost up to €20,000 and consist of many different layers of paint.
I'm looking for a yellow ochre with a little bit of a golden undertone, transparent.
As David just mentioned, with that golden shimmer, we don't currently have anything like that in our catalogue, and it's certainly a very exciting idea.
Kramer's curiosity is piqued. He starts in the company's library. That includes centuries of pigment expertise from around the world. He looks for golden ochre. His chemist father Georg stumbled upon pigments by chance.
He was asked to produce a special shade of blue, cobalt blue, using traditional methods. He was able to, and since then, many scientists, restorers, and artists have come to us, seeking old, forgotten, historical, or even new mineral-based natural pigments.
But do they have historical records about a golden, glittering ochre tone? Kremer and Benferrado discovered jarosite, an iron ore.
Here, jarosite is described as yellow ochre, carnation, and blackish brown. Carnation, that would be nice. Blackish brown, that's not really that interesting. But yellow ochre, that sounds very good.
So that's interesting because this formation brings to mind the ancient quarries in Lavrion, where they have been digging also for copper since antiquity and iron oxides. So I believe we should take a look.
That sounds interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is jarosite still available in Greece? The search for this rare shade of ochre continues. While some search for a colour from long ago, others want to create a brand new shade. In the UK, Orr Yarkoni and Jim Ajioka have been refining their innovative dyeing technique since 2016. They want to transform the textile industry.
Okay.
The major obstacles are going to be getting the industry to want our product. It's a very conservative industry, and unless you can match the incumbent prices, that's going to be a problem.
They've been searching for the perfect yellow for nearly 2 years. Every test gets them a little closer to what they're looking for.
It's a lot less brown.
Yeah.
The color's more vibrant.
The scientists came face to face with the dark side of the textile industry many years ago when they investigated water quality in Nepal.
Jim actually hired me to work on a water quality project 12 years ago. And we both share a real passion for making sure water's safe and clean and that there is drinking water in the future. When we were there, we also became aware of how big an impact textiles have.
This is often what rivers in Asia look like when dye factories discharge their wastewater. Toxic sewers filled with mercury, benzene or lead, substances used in petroleum-based industrial dyeing processes. Local residents pay the heaviest price with their health, and further down the supply chain, some of these toxins from dyed textiles could end up on consumers' skin. Something has to change. The global textile dyeing industry pays far too little attention to the consequences of water pollution. Ajioka and Yarkoni could make a huge difference.
It is so much lighter, though.
Yeah, it is, which is...
The textile dyeing industry consumes an estimated 5 trillion litres of water every year. The researchers' method could save up to 77% of it because it allows the dye to bind to the fabric more quickly. And the wastewater could potentially even be treated and used as drinking water.
Essentially, what we're trying to do is to replace the use of chemistry to make color and put it on fabrics into growing color and putting it on fabrics biologically. We see every color on every material that nature makes with the river still running clean, and the goal is for mankind to eventually do the same with all of the products that we make, not just textiles that we wear.
In Norwich, in the UK, they've put their methods into a startup, Colorifix. Their revolutionary technology uses colour templates from nature. They discovered the yellow they wanted in a microorganism.
I think there's a wide variety.
But turning that into a textile dye wasn't so easy.
The example from neon yellow comes from a bacterium. It's found just basically out on plants.
The natural world is rich with colour.
Hi, Tony.
Hello. Can you just load that in?
Yeah?
Position there, please.
Over there? Yes, sure.
The team finds the DNA for the colour they want in a large database. The DNA is replicated and then transferred into a microbe via an electrical impulse. The microscopic organism then produces the desired dye. Millions of microbes become tiny dye factories. The team has already conducted countless test runs with various shades of yellow. Scientist Sophie Vaud inserts the replicated DNA into a microbe, but still no sign of the right yellow.
This is the crucial moment. This is very exciting because we will know once our cells will have grown on selective plates if they have kept the DNA and if they have turned into dye cell factories. So this is very exciting.
The microbes multiply over several hours. They're still red, but that doesn't matter because they also carry the genetic information for the yellow.
That's the old one.
They've done exactly what we had expected them to do, and the colors seem to be consistent.
The first step worked. Research requires patience.
What we do is we engineer a microbe that doesn't make color into one that does make color. And each of these little spots can be expanded billions of times to make a huge vat of microbes that will then go on to dye fabric.
We start the color shifting towards yellow.
This process could also replace petroleum, which is the basis for synthetic dyes.
Of genetic engineering, which resulted. This color was particularly challenging because it's a color that has actually never been produced at scale before and has never been used in the textile industry before.
Yellow is a key component to making a trichromat. Okay, here you need yellow, you need cyan, and you need magenta. Cyan's a kind of blue, magenta's sort of a pinkish color. And if you mix those three colors together, you can make a huge variety of other colors. And so once you make three, you can make a color palette that's really big. Okay, so yellow is an absolutely key component to this.
Cyan, magenta, and yellow are the three primary colors in color printing. The textile industry uses them too. Next step, fermentation.
Hi Charlotte, we're here to see how the fermentation of solar glue is going.
Now it's all about growth. During fermentation, the microbes are supplied with nutrients like sugar so that they can multiply. The reddish liquid contains thousands of microbes that carry yellow color information. These microbes should be able to attach themselves to fabrics and then dye them a bright yellow. The team has already done countless experiments with other shades of yellow. Will the yellow hidden in the red microbes finally produce the right shade?
So here is the sample from the last iteration of our color.
Yeah.
Now let's see how it's improved.
Not all yellows are the same. The test strips so far have produced both brownish and pastel shades of yellow. None of these yellows were a good base color. And this time around?
This is fantastic. Happy doesn't begin to describe it. Now we have a saleable product. Because the yellow, the color, the hue of the yellow is perfect, and the saturation of the color in the fabric is very good. As we turn this from here to here in about 4 months.
Ajioka is satisfied. But will the yellow also win over customers? The Parthenon on the Acropolis in Athens. It was originally more vibrant, like in this animation. Restoration requires finding which colours were used 2,500 years ago. Paint manufacturer Crema and artist Benferrado have come to Greece to search for a specific shade of ochre. They're making a stop at the Parthenon. It may soon need colours that only Crema can produce.
Perfect light.
Nice.
Standing here this morning at the Parthenon and imagining that jarosite and other natural minerals were already used here thousands of years ago, it feels absolutely amazing.
A restoration of this magnitude is something special, even for a colour expert.
The Parthenon, as it was built and designed here 2,500 years ago, using pigments like azurite, cinnabar, and conicalcite. We specialize in making these colors, these pigments available again, specifically for restoration projects like this.
Paints for the Parthenon, perhaps a project for the future. But today they're focused on a very rare shade of ochre that Crema has not yet produced, from jarosite. The hunt begins in Lavrion, southeast of Athens. Greek artist Benforado used his local connections to track down a mine. Clues found in Kramer's colour library suggested the rare mineral might be found in this area.
This looks like an ancient region rich in ore. There were certainly many volcanoes here millions of years ago, and they spew out everything that lies dormant underground.
Minerals were mined around Lavrion as far back as ancient times, possibly even for the Parthenon.
So this place is very important because there has been recorded mining activity since thousands of years. So we are excited to meet our contact person here, Dimitris, who comes from a family of miners.
These mines lie within one of the largest ancient mining districts. This mine was once a source of silver and various ores. Will the mineral hunters find the jarosite they're looking for here?
Now that we're standing in front of the cave, it actually looks very promising. Yellow crystalline pieces and red looks good too. It's actually very colourful.
There are no visitors allowed here to help preserve the historic mines. Guide Dimitris Sigiros comes from a family of miners. His passion for rocks and minerals runs in the family.
My grandfather worked in the mines starting around 1950, and he began taking me with him to the mines in about 1998-99.
Many of the minerals in Sigiros' collection date back to that time. Kramer and Benforado take a sample to see if it contains jarosite. The rock looks promising, but is it the shade of ochre Benforado is looking for?
Can we just do a quick test to see how this would work with a binding agent? We don't have any here right now, so you'd usually do it with spit. And that actually looks pretty good.
What do you think?
I think it looks very good.
This jarosite here is very crystalline, very pure, and very rare in such a high quality.
At the first glance, it looks very promising. It has good transparency qualities. I can see already some of the golden undertones. And I'm very excited to work with David in Eichstätt and to sieve it, to clean it. So this is great, from the source to the actual pigment, color.
They'll take it back to Germany to see how the mineral behaves as paint.
That looks good, and this is just the beginning.
Planting the first little flowers. At some point, you just have to start planting flowers and bushes.
It's really important to me that the yellow is always present here, and that it's always blooming. Because, after all, we bring that color from outside inside, and from inside to outside.
Jeanette Marit Herbst is a psychological color consultant. She believes colours influence our thoughts, actions and feelings, and that integrating natural elements can enhance well-being. Herbst studied at an Amsterdam art academy. Her services as a colour expert are in high demand throughout Europe, where she's been advising hospitals for more than 20 years. She's currently redesigning the psychiatric ward in Lengerich, Germany.
This is the base colour found in all buildings. Here in the dementia ward, this colour is used a lot because people tend to lean on it. Colour makes all the difference. We can remember blue skies very well from our childhood. We laid on our backs and looked up at the blue sky and felt wonderfully happy. It's all about colour and texture together. That's why colours can be healing.
She's still just testing these colours on the unfinished walls. The work is more advanced in the adjacent hospital wing. Sunny tones will dominate this space where predominantly patients with depression are treated. Herbst is reviewing the design with psychiatrist Christos Chrysanthou.
They're getting yellow. It makes you want to get up. That's what we want. We want people to move because movement is ultimately healthy.
Colours actually do have a measurable effect on the human body.
Yellow stands for brightness. It has an effect. It carries over into hormones and metabolism in principle, and through that has an effect. It's not just an external psychological phenomenon. It has a biological effect as well.
A study at the Helios Wuppertal University Hospital showed that targeted colour and lighting design could reduce the need for medication by 30.1%. Patients on wards with enhanced colour and lighting felt significantly more comfortable.
I can make a difference, give people a new perspective, and perhaps even help them see a new future.
The Dutch colour expert is trying to use design to help patients recover more quickly. She designed a psychiatric ward in Dortmund in 2017. She's now meeting with the hospital to find out if her concept made a difference.
Hallo, Herr Asner. Das ist wirklich schön. Hallo.
The investment paid off. The use of psychotropic drugs decreased in this department.
It probably makes a difference because someone who arrives tense, anxious or agitated, someone who might otherwise need sedatives, no longer requires them because they suddenly feel a sense of security. The patients feel extremely comfortable. The feedback has been consistently positive, without exception.
The hospital's food has also become a playground for experimenting with colour. The kitchen as a colour laboratory.
Okay, die Paprika. The bell peppers. We'll mince them.
We'll chop them up small and then we'll add tomato.
Perfect.
Ingredients of varying colours are said to stimulate the appetite.
The colour green is the first thing to catch our eye. Oh, we're hungry. We want to try it. What does it taste like? Then the colours yellow or red. We get the feeling it'll warm our stomachs. I'd make that. Yeah, that tastes really good.
The variety we have here on the plate, with the few ingredients that we have on hand, I think that's really great. I'd like to incorporate this more often into my daily menu.
I want to help people get healthy, make them laugh and feel good. That's the most important thing to me.
Herbst has already designed more than 20 hospitals using her colour concept. Her work produces results. Colour reduces stress and promotes healing.
So Jim, this is our lab, as you can see. This is the part where you do the final test, the physical one. Yeah. And here it's a new mini lab, the color fix lab, like we call it.
Yeah, this is amazing. You guys help us do this. It's surprisingly difficult to get people to understand, that this isn't just magic. There's real scientific principles behind it.
In Barcelos, in northern Portugal, Ajioka is visiting one of his first customers. Ricardo Mano dyes fabrics for major textile manufacturers.
Yeah.
He has already invested in Jim's technology and hopes it could be the start of major changes in his industry.
As you can see, all the colors that are here are made with petrochemicals. So if we could change it with all colorifics dye, it will be magnificent. That's why we're here and trying to implement this.
I think we can do it.
Manos's vision is a toxin-free textile industry, a movement he'd like to spearhead.
Since we are a dye house, we are a lot consuming of waste of water, energy, and when we met Colorifix or Jim, this is total innovation, and that's the way our industry needs to go, because otherwise we don't have future and we have to be much more sustainable.
The dye house is testing the neon yellow for the first time. It was developed in a lab in the UK, and the microbes for the colour are cultivated in a bioreactor.
In a few years we'll be all Colorifix, I suppose.
This dye is invisible to the human eye. It's derived from bacteria. The yellow is about to be transferred onto a 3.3-kilometre long fabric roll. This is the decisive moment for Ajioka. The technology only has a future if the process works outside his lab, in large-scale dyeing facilities like this one.
This is absolutely fantastic for me because this is a color that most people have never seen before at all. It's also in such small concentrations in nature that nobody will ever have seen this color. Now you get to see it at massive scale. This is amazing.
This is also a major success for Mano.
There will be less costs in the final product because of less water, less energy. We are already talking with our customers about this innovation of colorifics, and everyone is paying attention to this.
This really makes me happy to see something go from a lab, essentially a lab dip, to this.
Ajioka's startup hopes to enter the mass market. Consumers could then enjoy colours that are not only beautiful, but also eco-friendly. 200 kilograms of the rare mineral jarosite have arrived from Greece at the paint mill in Eichstätten. Kremer has already ground the mineral into a pigment, and artist Ben Ferrado now wants to try the paint on one of his paintings.
To take this and make it into pigment and then make it into paint. So for me, that's a first, because I've been working with pigments, as I said, for 20 years already, so I never had the honor and the luxury to go to the source, take the mineral, make it into a pigment and then into paint.
Ben Ferrado will be the first to use this particular shade of rediscovered paint in his art. The ochre yellow will also be available for the restoration of historical paintings.
So it's really subtle. It's not like the jarosite. It's like bam, I'm here in the painting, but it integrates with the rest of the painting layers and serves its function in the overall picture. It's really transparent. It's exactly what I was looking for this painting. It fulfills all my expectations and more, so I'm very much looking forward to work more with this pigment.
For Kremer, it's a special moment too.
Der Austausch mit den Künstlern ist immer sehr belebend.
Interacting with artists is always very inspiring. You learn a lot from the various techniques they use, and seeing the finished product in action warms my heart. It makes me happy and gives me a nice feeling.
Und es ist ein gutes Gefühl.
Colours. They have fascinated people since the beginning of time. They brighten our clothing, turn a house into a home, and serve as the basis for great art. And now they can be healthy too.